Hi, I'm Paul Johnston and welcome to Two Wheels, and on this week's show I'll be telling you all about this. It's Honda's new 900cc Hornet. That down there is a 1998 fuel-injected Fireblade engine. It's great fun, but more of this later. First, we're off to Sheffield to meet Wayne for all the action from this year's very impressive Sheffield Indoor Arena Trial.
Now, there's no doubt about it, we all have a fantastic admiration for world-class riders. That is, people who compete at world level, world champions even, in all sorts of different disciplines. Your road racing, your speedway, you've got your grass track, motocross, well, you name it, anything to do with two wheels or three wheels. But all those same world champions have an admiration for the people who ride trials. That's the guys that do the indoor arena trials and ride over rocks like this one. And we have a world champion amongst our midst. In fact, a many times world champion, and now a man who's received an MBE. What an honour that is from the Queen herself. So the thing is, you want to see what these guys can do and why those fellas out there who are world champions admire the talents. Well, we'll show you that soon. First of all, let's explain what they get up to. There's going to be 7 riders from various different parts of the world. In actual fact, we've got 4 riders from Spain, 1 guy who's come all the way from Japan, and we've got 2 lads from the UK in the way of Steve Colley and Dougie Lampkin. Those 7 riders are going to attempt 7 sections. Let me explain a little further about the points and the way they score things. It's not particularly difficult. They have an observer on every section. What the guy does is he watches their every move. If they make a mistake, and that's in the way of perhaps putting their foot down or falling off the section, unfortunately they lose marks. The more marks they lose, that's it. The worse the result. And so at the end of the night, it's the guy with the least amount of marks. There will be what they call like a heat, and that's of the 7 riders all attempt the whole thing, the 7 sections. Then 4 of the best riders will go through to the final. And then with a bit of luck, we'll determine 1 boy as the champion. Maybe it's Dougie again. He's won it for 6 times on the trot. This could be the 7th, you never know. But only time will tell. The next thing for me to do is to explain and show you some of the sections. So it would be rather sensible, wouldn't it, to start at section number 1. Right then, step back a bit while I explain what goes on. First of all, the rider comes into here and he just pops up, as if onto here. Then he goes from there up onto the top, and obviously this has been created by the aid of one of these here forklift trucks. Beep, 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 beep. Anyway, enough of that fool. They're going to pop down here. They've got to go on the ground here. Why is the fan here, you might ask? Well, little birdie tells me that they did originally position this here, but they've moved it back. And this under here, under the boards, is ice, because this is the ice rink that they use for the ice hockey. So it's drawn a bit of dampness up, so they're drying it out, because the riders have got to then go up onto this, and this ain't easy, definitely not, because there's a bit of an overhang. And I've been reliably informed by somebody who knows his stuff that this will be a difficult bit of the section. Once they're up here, then they've got to ride along here, easy peasy, and then come down onto this. Difficulty being obviously a bit of grape, and also they've got to get themselves over there, sort themselves out to jump from there onto this huge cotton reel here, and then off. Oh, it's not particularly difficult. In fact, it's a pity that I haven't got a bike with me, otherwise I would obviously, you know, have a go. Not.
About 18 months ago, I had a conversation with a very high-ranking Honda person who shall remain nameless, and I said to him, what do you think of these rumours of a new 900cc Hornet? To which he replied, they're not rumours. So we've known for some time that Honda were about to beef up their very popular and very capable 600cc Hornet, and at last, it's arrived. A quick glance down the spec sheet makes mouth-watering reading. A naked street bike with 918cc's of Fireblade power, which has now been fuel injected, and a total weight of less than 200 kilos. Sounds like a completely mad idea. Well, it's true, the 900 Hornet can be as mad as you like, but there's a lot more to it than that. Okay, so it is the big brother to Honda's 600cc Hornet, but actually it's not that much bigger physically, despite the power from this 1998 fuel-injected Fireblade lump down there, which incidentally is a claimed 109 brake horsepower. Sat here like this, the whole thing looks very unintimidating, quite a user-friendly sort of bike. Doesn't look like the kind of machine that'll scare you half to death as soon as you fire it up. And the fact is, it won't. Because this is not a naked Fireblade, and if that's what you're after, then you'll be disappointed. You see, the power delivery is very different from a blade. It's been, now wait for it because we've heard this 1,000 times before, it's been retuned to give more usable mid-range power. Well, to be fair, you can actually tell because there's loads of punch below 7,000 revs, which is exactly where you need it on this style of bike. In fact, the maximum power, 109 brake horsepower, is measured at just 9,000 RPM, which is at least 1,500 less than most similar sized sports machines. So don't expect sports bike performance. Having said all of that, the Hornet will still top 140 miles an hour, so it's no slouch. But do you think you could hang on to these bars at 140 miles an hour? Well, not for more than a few hundred yards, I shouldn't think. Which brings us nicely to the riding position. Now, the strange thing with this is that just before I climbed aboard this, I stepped off a Fireblade, which I've been riding for some time. And when I climbed on this, I felt like I was really high up, stuck up in the air like being on a bar stool. But the weird thing is that the seat height of this Hornet is actually lower than the Fireblade, a whole 20mm lower at just 795mm. And the reason you get this feeling is simply because on a blade or a sports bike, you're leaning forward, so your head goes lower. On this, you are sat actually bolt upright, so you do feel as though you're up in the air, which gives you a nice view of all what's around you, especially in traffic. It's not a bad thing. And it also means that this bike will suit people who've got slightly shorter legs. You can reach the ground easy, get a nice foot down. But it also means that tall people, for example, I'm 6 foot, don't feel too cramped up at all. So it's actually very clever. The handling of this new Hornet is as good as it gets given the technology aboard. The bike isn't packed with the very latest frame and suspension engineering, so it doesn't offer quite as much feedback to the rider as a more high-tech sports bike would. But that doesn't stop it being lots of fun. As usual, there's a brake at each end, and they're more than adequate to bring the whole thing to a very abrupt stop. The fuel injection system seems to be glitch-free, and I can honestly say that I didn't notice any kind of hesitation even when filtering through busy traffic at low revs. Personally, I think the Hornet's best feature is that it can be ridden however you like. It kind of depends what mood you're in. It can be as mad as you dare, or as smooth and sensible as you wish. Now, if you're very observant, you will have noticed that this is not a standard Hornet. This is not exactly how it comes. This has had one or two bits and pieces added to it, one or two optional extras which you can buy. So if we start at the front here, it's got a little fly screen on it, which is only small. It does keep a little bit of the wind blast off your chest, and I have ridden a Hornet without one, so it does work a bit. But if you want one of them added to your bike, it will cost you 65 quid, which is not bad. This has also got a centre stand added to it. And we're always on about centre stands. Me and my mate Jeff think every bike should have a centre stand. Well, this one's got one added to it. If you want to put one on your 900 Hornet, it will cost you £125. Also, this one arrived with these on it. Honda sent this to us and it's got these on it. They're crash protectors, or mushrooms if you like call them. I don't know why they've put them on it. Trying to tell me something. Maybe they don't trust me. But if you want to add these, they'll cost you a further £115. The basic bike, without all the bits and pieces, can be put on the road for a touch over £6,300. Now, some people would say, if you've got that kind of performance, you might as well have a sports bike. What's the point in having a naked bike like this with all that power down there? There again, a sports bike will cost you at least another £2,000. So what do you do? Well, the choice is yours. It's time now to take a short break, but don't go too far away because we'll be back with some more very impressive riding from the indoor trials. Welcome back to Two Wheels. Now, do you think you could ride a bike straight up this wall? No, me neither. But we know lots of men who can, and they're all riding at this year's Indoor Arena Trials in Sheffield.
Now this is section number 3, and it's just a whole load of tyres that have been sort of thrown on the ground. Well, not quite, been placed so that it makes life very difficult for the riders. So if you like to just follow me, I'll explain. They go up there, sit on the top, jump across from there to this baby here. Then they ride from this like a ramp up onto the big one, which has got to be one of the biggest tyres in the world, for goodness sake. Then they come down that baby and sit on this tyre here. And then over a few more. No big deal, you think. But again, in the final, they're reversing it in the final, and they've got to come back the other way. They've got to sit on this very, very low tyre, exactly, and then ride it over the big baby behind me, and then finish off. But back to the heats, and in the heats, they just come over this one, onto a very, very big one again, and then the run-off bit is fairly easy. It's like a bit of a stepping stone down to the ends. I shouldn't think it'd be too difficult, although I should imagine they'll be very tired at the end of it. Now this is section number 4, and this represents aerosol cans. In this case, a huge one lay down, and this one sort of standing up a little. And it seems quite grippy. But then again, when they get to the top here, they've only got to jump across what amounts to about 12 foot, a 12-foot gap, over to the other side, down that aerosol can. And that's not all. Because they've got to go over these, which are huge bottles. Amazing, isn't it? Right on top, that is. Then they come back down these fellas, so move back a bit, down these which are laid down aerosol cans of a giant form, on top of another huge bottle, and then on top of that, a massive aerosol can again. Then they lay onto this, they jump down onto this, and off they go. Simple as that, isn't it? The thing is, don't forget that on the return journey, in the final, they've got to go on here and over that, rather them than me.
I've just been flicking through a lot of these motorcycle magazines, and it's occurred to me that in every one of them there are lady bikers. There are pictures of them, there is stories about them, and I've realised that there are no lady bikers on our show. And we want to change all of that. We want you lady bikers to get in touch with us here at Two Wheels, and there are a couple of ways you can do it. Firstly, you can write to us at this address: Two Wheels, Men and Motors, Granada, TV, Key Street, Manchester, M60 9EA, or alternatively, you can send us an email. There's the email address, twowheels@granadamedia.com. Tell us all about yourselves. Tell us what's good and bad in the world of biking for you lady bikers. And who knows, instead of having your picture in a magazine, you might get your face and your bike on the telly.
Frank, I've just seen you out there thrashing around Alton Park, thoroughly enjoying yourself, and you're well pumped up for it, aren't you?
I certainly am, yeah.
Don't you find it cold at this time of year?
Very.
But you soon work up a lather while you're out there?
It's all right when you're actually out on the track, you know, you can actually get warm then.
Yeah.
It's only when you're standing about waiting to go out again that you...
Yeah, and the old nerves get you.
We do have heater.
Yeah, I know, I saw that, the old fan heater in the back of the garage. And you're running your CBR 600, and that's just purely a track day tool, isn't it?
That's all it is, it's just a toy.
Yeah.
It's a big boy's toy.
Do you use a road bike as well, or?
No, I don't go on the road now, it's too dangerous. I can go on a track day and be as fast as I want, do what I want, and still ride, you know, still go home in one piece.
Yeah, basically,
all being well.
and all being well.
Yeah, all being well, yeah. We've done Donington, Mallory, Cadwell, Alton. Alton's fine because that's local for us, you know. But...
And how's your season? I mean, it's now November and it's pretty nippy. I mean, are you doing another one, or is your end?
I doubt we're doing another one, but you know, it's money as well. It's like 100 quid a chunk.
Yeah.
You know, so...
Clean a few more windows.
Without a doubt, yeah. Let's sell the wife. Anyway.
I've never crashed on a track day.
No.
I've done a few, and I've never crashed, so the record goes pretty well.
Yeah, because you're pretty big. I mean, you're not the normal sort of racer shape, are you, really?
No, I'm not a racer shape. I've got a big bike to match it.
Well, you've certainly heated these rear tyres up because they've sort of balled up round the edges, so you're giving it some out there, anyway.
Oh, it's over to its limit, yeah.
Yeah. And track days normally, how many have you done, do you think? Are you a regular then?
I've done about 20, so yeah.
Oh, you're a bit of an expert then, are you?
20 over the last couple of years, 18 months or so, yeah.
Now let's say you're into track days, even on a cold day like today, but you don't want to spoil your beautiful road bike. You need a special track tool, but where do you buy one from? You buy one from this fella here, Jim Stock.
Hiya.
Hiya, Jim. I've seen your little store there, and you've got your tyres outside and all the rest of it. What is your... And you're also a pretty mean rider, if you don't mind me saying so. What's that one you've been thrashing around on the SP1 there?
It's Dean Ellison's ex-British Superbike.
Yeah.
And that's Jamie Colton's old CBR 600. That's all I do, I just buy and sell race bikes.
Just a bit of name dropping, this sort of thing, isn't it?
You get more money for them.
Yeah.
Unless they had a big off.
So you've got quite a stable of these bikes then that you've collected?
Yeah, I've got about 20, yeah. That's all I do for a living, just buy and sell race bikes, track bikes. Most of them go to people with expensive Ducatis and the Aprilias and want to buy a 2, 3, 4 grand track bike just to do track days.
And is that the sort of money you're talking around?
Yeah, from 1,500 quid to 15 grand.
Yeah.
The SP1 is a proper HRC bike, about 100,000 quid to build that.
Yeah.
But we start CBR 600's about £1,500, yeah.
And just out of interest, and how much for the SP1 then? I mean, what are you doing that one for?
That would come with a spares kit, which would include wheels, tyres, discs, bodywork, all spares, and it's 15 grand that.
Right.
But there's £120,000 for the money and development.
I was saying, and that is a true race bike anyway.
Yeah,
it's almost too much for a track day, isn't it? Really?
It is, yeah. I don't think, unless somebody's extremely well off, that will turn into a race bike, and it's capable of winning every club race it ever does. It's a proper piece of kit.
So what's the most popular? CBR 6 I presume is a popular bike, is it?
I would say R6s.
Really?
The Yamaha R6 is probably the most popular because there's quite a few of them about now. You can pick them up from about 2,500 to 3,500. They never go wrong. In standard trim, they're as good as most race bikes. They're superb.
So you come to do like today, you have a bit of fun yourself, but you can actually sell bikes here. There's people coming up to you.
I'm just very lucky having a job like that.
Yeah.
I come here anyway and do a track day. and I bring my truck and a few bikes, and I always sell something. We hand out leaflets and things, and 9 times out of 10 I get some business from the day. So not only do I get to ride and do the track day, but I make a few quid as well.
And do you get people blagging a test ride? Give us a go, mister.
They try. They do.
And what do you do if it looks genuine? Do you let them?
I do. If I know the person, I've met him on another day. Yeah, I've done it a couple of times and both times sold the bike, but you have to be wary. You have to qualify the person, because if they fall off, what do you do then?
Yes, that's right. You want some money. Money on the table.
Exactly.
Yeah. Excellent, Jim. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
He's a good salesman, that Jim bloke, you know. And despite the cold, I've caught the bug. And look what I bought. A nice SP1. I'm just going to go and get my leathers now.
Well, that's all from Two Wheels for this week, but on next week's show, Jeff takes a ride on something that's certainly very different. It is, of course, the highly acclaimed and long-awaited Harley-Davidson V-Rod. And we send bike journalist Laura Snook down to report on this year's Autosport show.